Hello everyone, welcome back to Sales Builder TV. Got a very special guest with me. I'm here at ChannelCon CompTIA in Atlanta, and I bumped into the one and only Rob Rae. Rob, thank you for taking some time out of your incredibly busy schedule to have a quick chat with me.
Absolutely, my pleasure, thank you.
No worries, and obviously we could take this chat in so many different directions, given your experience in the MSP space, but first thing I'd like to ask is there a misconception about you that people always have that you can put to bed straight away?
That's a good one.
I thought I'd catch you off
guard. I mean,
guard.
the first thing that comes into my mind is when you want to find Rob, he's always at the bar. I want to say that that's untrue, but unfortunately it is somewhat true.
Okay.
No, I find that, a lot of the relationship building happens in the hallways. It happens in the conversations that are outside the formal booth time. And defenses come down a little bit. It's an opportunity to get to know somebody a little bit better. So, I think that's not really a misconception. What's a misconception? I don't know. That I actually know what I'm talking about is probably a misconception.
Is that correct?
I am dumb as a post. I don't know why people actually listen to what I have to say.
All right.
If it works.
Possibly being modest there.
Sure.
Possibly being modest. Right, let's tap into your experience. So you have obviously, over your time at Datto and obviously Pax8 now, have been involved in building many a team, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. Some of the MSPs watching this will be looking at building their own sales teams, potentially business development. What is there any advice that you can give an MSP that's looking to A, sort of recruit, and then B, kind of have like a healthy culture within that team? Yeah,
big question. Lots to unpack there. As sales recruitment is hard. It is hard because if you think about like trying to hire salespeople, there's no certification per se. There's no, what you're doing is you're basically hiring somebody that has a personality but also some experience. One of the things that I do, for example, I will go through somebody's resume, right? And here's the thing with salespeople. If you're a good salesperson, your company will not let you leave. Your company will pay you enough that they will want to keep you around. So if you see a resume that's like under 2 years, like per job kind of thing, that is not a good salesperson because they have probably more than likely been fired. And that's as a result of just not achieving their numbers, not hitting their numbers. So I find that when I look at salespeople, I'm looking for longevity. I used to do lending way back in the day for financial institutions, and stability was if you were 3 years in a home, 3 years at a job. So when I look at a resume, I kind of look at it the same way. It's like, how long was that person with it? Because if you're a good salesperson, they're going to keep you. And if you last more than 2 years, you definitely are a keeper or somebody that you want to keep. So that for me was number one. And then, of course, the personality. And I'll reference back to something that Gary Vaynerchuk says. Hire fast, because really the interview process it's a flawed process. You're trying to get to know somebody and technically get married to them in 30 minutes or an hour.
Incredibly difficult. People are very good at pulling the wool over your eyes in a short space of time.
You can pretend to be anything or anyone for very short periods of time. It's the longevity where you start to discover who somebody actually is. So his theory is hire fast, because we all suck at hiring. So hire fast, but fire faster. If you start seeing cracks, if you start seeing problems, don't wait. Just, make your move, go and find somebody else. So those are kind of things that I kind of live by when recruiting.
And how do you keep your teams happy over the time? So how do you make them want to stay as well as you want to have them?
Salespeople like a lot of autonomy. Right? So the ability to go and do their job, set their quotas for them and let them go and achieve their quotas. And as long as they're doing that, give them as much freedom and space that they need to actually do that. Give them the tools that they need to go and do that. And it's little things for me. Think about it as any relationship that you have with another human being, like a spouse, for example. It's all the little things that kind of bring us together. And I find employees are the same. Just little things here and there. Salespeople are also, there are two types as far as recognition goes. Either they want an award sitting on their desk, or they just want a paycheck, a better paycheck. So actually, when you get somebody in there, take a look at their surroundings. If they have like some recognition or something like that on their desk,
I really like that.
Then somebody wants that pat on the back. If somebody is, doesn't have anything like that, or isn't kind of like trying to be, number one, or trying to get the recognition, then they're more dollars focused, which neither are bad, but you got to know what motivates them and just lean into what motivates them, whether it's the cash or whether it's the recognition pat on the back.
I guess part of that is having a close relationship with them as well, isn't it? Just being like, we've close proximity and
ultimately you have to.
Let's switch tack slightly. So MSPs and growth. So obviously you speak to a lot of them.
I do.
You've probably got a few clues as to what makes the good ones good and the bad ones bad. I'm interested to know, what should, let's say I'm an MSP at the kind of 3 million sort of turnover level, perhaps, or revenue level. What are the things that can really take me to that next level that you see within perhaps like the Pax 8 base or what you've seen over the years? Are there key things that differentiate the good ones from the average then, let's say?
There's a few things. Like, first of all, I think coming to an event such as this, right? You got to get out. Like, you're at that certain point where working on your business is less valuable working in your business is less valuable than working on your business. So you got to get out. You got to find what's new in tech, what's coming down. Like an event like this, for example, we come to this. There are probably about 20 vendors here I have never heard of. Right? But it's newer tech that's kind of coming to the market. Right?
It's one of the lovely things about ChannelCon, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because there's a lot of vendors that are here that can't necessarily afford to go to a larger show, which means you might not ever run into them. Fun fact, actually, when I was back working for a company called Level Platforms, an RMM vendor, back in 2012, and I come here to this show, and the booth right next to me was this kid, and he didn't even have enough money for a sign. It was a handwritten sign that he stapled to the front of his desk. That was Datto. Fast forward, I started working for them a couple of years later, and then you fast forward, $6.2 billion exit. Like, pretty successful business, but started here at this particular show. And if you had found
it was this
Datto,
one. It was a CompTIA.
Yeah.
Wow.
So if you find that technology that's kind of up and coming, or that vendor that's up and coming, or something that's going to happen that'll keep you ahead of your competition, keep you educated as well. Like the education piece of this, like we're talking about AI, we're talking about cybersecurity. Having like the value out of what an MSP brings to its market, to its community, is that education. You gotta stay on top of that stuff. And a lot of times that means you just have to remove yourself from the day to day and be able to step back and go and learn. And then so it's learning from coming at events like this and experiences and talking to different vendors and new techs, but at the same time it's also things like peer groups, investing in your community, find like-minded MSPs, non-competitive, that you can share information so you can all kind of grow together.
What are your thoughts on going beyond the MSP space? That's something I've had on my mind recently, is that obviously we all work in a very sort of close-knit community, and that is fantastic in a lot of ways, but do you see any MSPs going sort of beyond that, whether it's like either to, I don't know, perhaps sort of business leadership peer groups where there's nothing to do with MSPs or anything? Do you have any thoughts around that, about where people should sort of extend beyond that?
Definitely, and you see it actually, because when I talk to a lot of MSPs, I mean, they are investing in vendors and training and education outside of the MSP space. My wife started a business about 4 or 5 years ago as an interior designer. She comes home and she's up to 4 employees, a couple $1 million, and she comes home and the problems that she shares with me are identical to that of an MSP. And she goes and finds I'm selling her, you go to peer groups, go to shows, that kind of stuff. So it's all basically the same recommendation pretty much for every entrepreneur, which means there are entrepreneurial tools out there regardless of what product it is or service you deliver. You can go and get some help. Or make a proper investment so you can actually frame things together, have that infrastructure set up in your business. So worthwhile investment, especially if you're getting to that $3 million plus stage and looking for growth.
That kind of plateau. How important is process in an MSP?
100%. You have to. Don't overkill it though, because I do find that there are people that have a tendency to overkill that. But knowing where the process is, knowing and everybody's kind of on the same page, working towards the same thing. I'll use Pax 8 as an example. Like, we have a million ideas that come into our organization. We have a brilliant staff that are constantly coming in with new ideas, and we want to do them all. But it's not scalable, it's not logical, we don't have enough money, time, people to be able to do those things. So, we narrow it down and have basically 2 buckets. The bucket is, here's our priorities, and the other one is not now. And, for our priorities, we specifically have a process of how we're going to achieve those goals over this period of time. So I think it's narrow, it's simple, and definitely investing in that is critical to success.
Excellent. Can I just ask you, just finally, so I've had there's one more question after that. Sure. So in terms of the sort of the OML side of things, so operational maturity, what in terms of getting to that final stage, what are there technologies there that you think play an important part these days? Are there technologies that are key to really sort of driving that that operational maturity as well? Or?
Yes and no. I mean, it's there's no magic bullet. I mean, if I did have it, I'd be making a lot more money than I do now.
I finished the interview. I thought you were going to have that.
No, you know what it is, and this is why things like peer groups are so important, because what's keeping you up at night is somebody else has solved, but what's keeping them up at night, you might have solved. So that sharing of like, what are you using? How are you using it? What success are you having with it? Because there's a number of products and services that even in this place that cater to the MSP market specifically that are worthwhile investments. But that word of mouth is probably more important than anything else.
That's a bigger thing.
Yeah, I would say so.
Final question. How do you come up with your event ideas? I mean, you are like the events man. Have you got some sort of background in doing events? What's the give me a behind the scenes look if you don't mind.
There's a couple things. Like you throw the first one out there, and then for me, it's all about feedback. Go get feedback, like tons of it.
Do they always
Tell me
work?
what you love.
Are they always good?
No, of course not.
No.
But tell me what you love, tell me what you hated, and then the next time you do it, just make it that much better.
Right.
And the idea is that also we're going to have some growth year over year over year. And if you look at, say, PacSite Beyond, 2023, we had 1,000 MSPs. 2024, we had 1,500 MSPs. Next year, we're going to have more. I'm not going to put a number out because then my boss is going to hold me to that quota. So we're going to have even more MSPs. And if you just create the better and better experiences, then all of a sudden more vendors come, you have more money to spend, you can elevate it a little bit more. I always try to keep an element of surprise. I always try to just elevate the experience. And the great thing is that we go to a lot of trade shows, right? As vendors, as attendees, and asking, what do you love, what do you hate? And every show that I go to, I will actually say, here's what I wouldn't do, or that's a great idea.
You kind of critique it as you go.
100%. Yeah, I always refer to myself as like Japan, where I don't necessarily create the idea, but I take other people's ideas and make it so much better.
I think we all do, to be fair.
Fair. I mean, I don't know if there's anything as original thought anymore, but ultimately everything that I've done is pretty much stealing it from somewhere else.
Is that the bit of the job you enjoy most these days? Like, is it the event side of things? Is that a fun part, or any other elements?
No. The part for me is the human engagement.
Right. Cool.
Right. It's funny. I live in Connecticut now, and I go home on weekends and travel during the week, and my wife's like, she's planning my 50th birthday party a couple of years ago during the pandemic, and she's trying to invite friends. I don't have any friends, right, in that. So she reaches out to a guy that is in the industry, friend of mine that she knows, and says, hey, I'm trying to get together this video, because we couldn't get together as people, trying to get this video together. Do you mind sending it out to Rob's friends? And he did, and got about 400 videos back. And she's going through this, like, who are these people?
I've never
They're
seen these
talking
people.
about you, like you guys went to war together. It's like, I've never even heard of these people before.
It is the MSP,
that's it.
MSP war.
It's our community, and I love it, and I love it dearly. So for me, it's more about the human engagement more than anything else.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it. Brilliant place to end. Thank you so much for giving me a bit of
My
your
pleasure.
time. Do you want to do a PacSite shout out? We've not mentioned PacSite at all, but anything that's on the roadmap or anything people should be looking at?
Yeah, I mean, we've made significant investments on evolving, distribution to marketplace and continuing to do that. So, if you're interested, just give us a call.
Excellent. No worries. Listen, Rob, been a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
You.
See you again. Cheers.
All right.